Before we get to the video, I just wanted to comment that as of the time of this recording, the HasLab Dragonfly has hit 6,000 backers, which means we are getting Glenda unlocked, which I'm very happy about because I was really looking forward to that figure. I was really excited about that figure, and I think she's going to look really cool in the gunner seat of the Dragonfly while Wild Bill flies. As of now, when this video goes up, we're probably looking at between like 3 and 4 days left in the project, maybe 3.5 at the time that you're watching this. And we need 3,000 more to unlock Night Force Crazy Legs. And I really think it can happen. It's not guaranteed, but for the final push that comes in these last couple days, 3,000 backers, we might get that. We might hit that mark, especially now that people see that we're actually that much closer to him. So keep your fingers crossed, and welcome to the party, Glenda.
Yo, Joe! He never gives up, he's always there, fighting for freedom over land and air. G.I. Joe! G.I. Joe!
Hello everybody, Mac here. Welcome back to the show. What we have today is something that I'm really excited about. We are back to G.I. Joe Classified, and not only are we back to G.I. Joe Classified, we are back to one of the originals. We are back to G.I. Joe Classified, Craig McConnell, aka Rock and Roll. This was one of my favorite of the original line. You had Snake Eyes, you had Stalker, Clutch, and Rock and Roll. And I absolutely loved that during the comic, Clutch and Rock and Roll sort of became like, you know, a duo of bosom buddies, whatever you want to call it. Like, I loved that these two were always like together. So now we need Clutch. We absolutely need Clutch. Hopefully he comes with a vamp, but we need Clutch. Now, with this right here, we have a windowless package, which I think this is the first windowless packaging I'm opening for Classified. No, I take that back. I think Stalker was. No, he had a window too. This might be the first windowless packaging that I'm opening on camera for the Classified series. We have a pretty cool shot, a photo of Rock and Roll right here. We have the space shuttle in the background. I honestly forget what this is in reference to. I know it has something to do with the cartoon. I vaguely remember him on a space shuttle in the cartoon, but I can't remember exactly what for. We have some pretty cool artwork on the side right here. We have a look at his accessories. On this side, we have that same artwork. On the back, we have a little bit of promotional shots of what's in the box, the figure, the back of the figure, his tats, and his accessories. Over here, we just have that he's number 71 in the line, and we have this QR code. This just takes you to the Hasbro website, the sales site. Up top, G.I. Joe Classified. On bottom, multiple languages, plastic-free packaging, legalese, barcode. So that's what we got. I am really, really wanting to open this guy up. I got him just over the weekend, about the same time that I got Mongol that we took a look at. So I really want to get him open. So without further ado, let's take a look at him. Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series, Rock and Roll. And here he is, Rock and Roll in all of his glory, out of the packaging, and putting the tape measure to him. We can see that he is just shy of 6.5 inches to the top of his head. Look at this guy. Just look at this guy. You know what I love about this face sculpt? This may not be exactly a copy of the original 3 3/4. There's obviously more detail here. There's obviously more expression here. But this is how I remember him looking. And I think that's what the important thing is. I know he didn't look this good, but this is how I remember his face being, just from the way he was drawn, illustrated, his personality in the comics. This is great. This is just how I pictured Rock and Roll. And with this tan right in here, because the original figure was all olive drab, all green, like you have in the shoulders here and down in the pants. But this tan right here, I feel like this is a nod to his second incarnation, his second figure, when he was dual-wielding, dual-barreled miniguns. Hasbro went a little over the edge with his second figure, but I feel like this is a bit of a nod to that. And then, of course, we have the crossed bandoliers right here. Obviously, also a nod to his first figure. But then we got the tats. Look at the tats. Look at the artwork. Look at how just beast this is. This is awesome. By the way, I also just want to, look at this right here. Down on the hand, we'll see how that comes into effect later. But we have more going up here. I think if we even take this wrist cuff off, yeah, it goes all the way down to the wrist, even though we're not going to be able to see it, which that is just so cool. But in the reveal video that I made a couple of months ago, I had thought this wouldn't be allowed in the service because I thought you could have tattoos just as long as they were covered up. But a commenter, a viewer left me a commented on that video and kind of alluded that that's a bit of a myth, that once you're in, if you get tats, you get tats. Like, and that's cool. I always want to be told when I am giving false information, but I really, really do love the artwork that they did on the arms right here. Down in the pants, I don't know if these are reused. They probably are, but none of the ones that I've opened so far have had these legs or these boots. I really dig these boots. Actually, these might be Spirit. I'll have to pull Spirit out in a minute. I didn't even think about that. No, I don't think those are Spirit's moccasins. We'll have to take a look later. But he has his holster, his hip holster over here for his sidearm, which we'll look at when we look at the accessories. We have another accessory pack right here on his other thigh. You can see on the belt, we have an accessory hole right there, and we have another one right here, leading to he's going to be able to have all of his gear on him once we look at the accessories. This is a very soft rubber, though. Like, his arms, his accessories, a lot of him feels like it's a much more softer, more pliable rubber. I don't want to say cheaper. I don't think he feels cheaper. It just feels like they're going with a more, well, like I said, pliable type rubber. I don't know if that's because they had instances with things breaking, if it's just a new direction they're going. I don't know, but it is definitely worth mentioning that a lot of this stuff just feels more gummy, I guess, than some of the previous figures that I've opened up. And I love the beard, this luscious beard right here, his hair. I love the wash in it that helps bring out the details. The eyes looking straight, looking sharp. Love that whole thing. Like, this is just great. Like, he's not supposed to be as big as Roadblock, not in the least, but he's still, like, you still get the idea that this is the guy that totes the big gun around. And that's just really, really cool. He has just a leather bracelet on over here, but then he has like a mini belt of rounds right here for his M60, which we'll take a look at also once we get to accessories. But for now, let's take a look at the articulation, that his head will do a full 360 spin. He has some really good tilt from side to side. He can really look up. He can really kind of, well, he can look down. He can look up more than he can look down. The head also comes off very easily. It's a very loose ball joint right there. And you see we have a dumbbell joint there, but also we have a hinge at the neck as well. And see what I mean? You don't even really get a pop when you push it back on. But this comes off very easily now. Arms will do a full 360 spin. He has a butterfly joint, but I don't know if mine is just really stiff or if it just has a very limited articulation in there. His arms will come up just over 90. Bicep swivel. Double jointed elbows. Wrist swivel. This hand pivots in and out, but if we take a look at his right hand, his weapon wielding hand, it pivots up and down, always appreciated. You can see right here that he has the ab cut, that he can crunch forward. He can crunch back. He has the ball joint at the waist that'll let him do a full 360 if you want. He has a little bit of back, a little bit of forward, and a little bit of side to side. Coming down lower, we have the drop-down legs so that they can come out just under 90. Drop-down legs will come way forward and go back. Thigh cut. Double-jointed knees that mine are a little stiff right there. Boot cut. Ankles rock back. Ankles rock forward. No toe articulation yet. I do hope that they eventually put that on these figures. I really think that's the only thing these are missing. Also, almost forgot to mention, didn't even notice it until I was readjusting the belts, that he also sort of has like this quilted sweater neckline, sort of like how Stalker did. I like that because I feel like that's also a callback to the original buck of the original line of G.I. Joes, where they all kind of had like a sweater neck and sweater wrists down on them. Those like just like a quilted stretchy thingy going on. So one thing that I really love about the windowless packaging is that the weapons come in these foot lockers, and it's either Cobra or G.I. Joe. But I also dig that it has his name on it. Now these are obviously too big that like they can't really be used as accessories as they're meant to be for diorama sets. Maybe you could, I don't know. But I also like, see that? It even has his number on there. Kind of like maybe we are supposed to keep these. But once they go to window packaging, back to window packaging, I really hope they keep these foot lockers going. So let's open this up and let's start popping out the accessories and taking a look at things. First thing we're going to take a look at is his helmet right here. And this is another piece that, I mean, this is a very gummy, very pliable plastic. And for the helmet, I don't really mind that because it's nice to know that this will stretch out and conform to the shape of the head sculpt rather than remaining rigid and possibly scraping some paint off. I love how it has hang 10 right here because above all else, rock and roll is a bit of a surfer, Rock and roll is a surfer, and I just love that they wrote that on the helmet. The only thing I feel like this helmet is missing before we even take a closer look at it, I feel like there should be a strap around it and he should have like a pack of Marlboros or something just tucked into it. I know they would never do that for a toy, but that would have been hilarious. That would really be cool. And I also like that they have the ear protection added in. I mean, he is toting around an M60, so I really dig that they put the ear protection in as part of his headgear. We have a little pouch that stays closed. You can't open this. Pouch on the back of his helmet right here. And we have this little spot right here where if he was issued night vision, I think that's where the night vision would plug in. We've seen that with some of the Valaverse figures. And bringing our boy up close, you can see that this helmet, while it is a little loose on him, like I said, I prefer that rather than scraping paint. It looks really good on him. It looks really good on him. The chin strap does not come together. The chin strap does not connect, but it's still, that looks real cool. That looks real cool. Usually when I was playing with rock and roll as a kid, I would always pop the helmet off because I really liked like that blonde hair, and I just liked the idea that he was toting around the big gun. Total BA, no helmet on. But with this, especially with the hang 10 up there, he may, things may change. He may get displayed with the helmet on more often than not now. What else do we got in here? Up next, well, let's take a look at his fists next. He has 2 extra hands. You can see that he comes out of the packaging with some trigger fingers, but he also has a right fist and the left horns, which is just awesome because the hands pop right off. I'm not going to put the fist on because you've all seen what the fist looks like. And you've probably seen this because most of the promo shots have it. The heavy metal horns right there, just living up to rock and roll. And I love the skull right here because you can position it and sort of make it look like the lower skull on his face. Like that looks cool. That looks so cool. And that is absolutely something a guy like rock and roll would do. This hand is probably going to stay on most of the time. That just looks great. Oh, I love that. I really wish, if my 3 3/4 figure had a hand like that when I was a kid, oh, I would have been on. I would have loved that. Something else that we have here. Let's dig around. Let's pull this out. We have his sidearm right here that at first I thought this was going to be a 1911, but I don't think this is a 1911. I think this is a Sig Sauer. I think so. It's not bored out. It's not big enough that you can put, it's not bored out enough that you can put blast effects in there. It looks good though. I really like the sculpt on it. And I think this is a Sig. I don't think this is a 1911. Once again, please tell me if I'm wrong. Let me know in the comments below. And it comes with a extended clip. And it just slides real nice into his hip holster right there. Love, love, love that the classified figures are able to like just kit all of their gear on them. Absolutely love that. What do we got next? Oh, there's the M30 or the M60. We'll take a look at that last. We have a couple of more pieces in here. Okay. This I thought was interesting. This I thought was cool. He comes with a field radio. I thought that was really cool, especially considering that when we looked at Stalker and the Gridiron Studios ghillie suit, that the ghillie suit came with a field radio as well. So now I have like two figures with field radios. Now this is also a very soft rubber, and it's a little hard to get into his hand, but you can fit it in there. The only thing that holds it up is that it has this peg on back. You see it has the peg on back right there, so it can peg into his utility belt, which we'll take a look at in a minute. The antenna is very rubbery, so it's not going to break off. I'd be more worried about it ripping than anything else. The detail on it is pretty good, but there's not much as far as paint apps go. If you remember, the Gridiron Studios one was a harder plastic. Also had more detailed paint apps on it. But I think for this it looks really good, and the colors totally match Roadblock's motif going on here. And this fits on the back right here. The only problem is that because of how rubbery, see that? Because of how rubbery the belt is and how rubbery this peg is, it's not exactly easy to get it to push in and stay there. There we go, but I still feel like it's not making the best connection, and I still feel like that will pop out at any given moment. Once again, luckily the antenna is very pliable, very rubbery, so that whenever it's up against his body and if you're moving him around, it's not going to break off. But I really feel like that peg is about to pop out at any second now. Now his other peg hole right here is for this. And what this is an ammo feed box for his M60. He comes with a belt, which we'll take a look at as well, but he also has the ammo feed box. And this, it plugs into the side of the M60. Let's just bring the M60 up and talk about that first. Look at this big mama. Look at this thing. Not quite Ma Deuce, but still intimidating. And it is bored out for blast effects. As a matter of fact, give me 1 second. Let me find some blast effects for you. So I might have been wrong, and that's a little disappointing, because here's the M60. You can see that it's bored out, but the problem is that the hole is actually bigger than the standard blast effect. I don't know. I hope eventually we get something that'll fit that. So back to the M60 now. First of all, I think this is a really cool sculpt. I think this looks really good. I feel like this might be a little too small. It might be a little too short in the barrel. I feel like there should be a little bit of an extension. I don't know. Keep in mind, I've never actually hefted one of these things in person before. But it has the bipod that comes down, which I think is cool. That whenever it comes down, it is two separate pieces, and it'll make that wide stance. And then, let's get this out of the way. You can also sort of set it up and let it lean on its own. I think that's really cool. This, I don't know what this is for, but I feel like maybe we're going to get something that he'll like be able to like just set the peg. He'll just be able to like set it, the peg in a peg hole, and he'll be able to like, you know, door gun or something. That would be really awesome if that's what that's for. Or maybe it's just for future unknown. Maybe they'll use this sculpt again for like door gunners or something. I don't know. We have the handle up top. We have the ammo feed right here. And I know this may be hard to see because it's all black, but right there, right here, these two peg holes, this is where the ammo box loads in. You can see that the ammo box has one peg on the side and then two pegs on this side. And we just put the ammo feed in there, and then boom, ammo box mounted right onto the side right there. Now, you may have noticed that it was also sort of folding in when I was pushing it in, because once again, this is a very soft rubber, and I really wish this one would have been a little bit more solid, because I don't know, I just have bad feeling that eventually this is going to start to bow on under its own weight, and it'll start to lose shape, and we'll have to like occasionally rebend it back into position. I really hope that's not the case. If you don't want the ammo box and you want to go with a more old school look, he does come with a full belt that you can have coming out of this thing, which is just insane. That you just put you just put one end of the belt into the gunner slot, into the slot right there, and there you go. That looks cool. And I also like how this is like just rounds blown off of the chain. I think that's so cool. Rounds blown off the belt. I really dig that. Once we get it in his hand, there's enough here that I think we're going to be able to do like the wrap it around his other wrist while he's firing off. That would be really cool. Now, with the ammo box right here, we have this peg on the side that is meant for his utility belt. So what I normally do is this little piece of belt actually comes out. What I would do is I would turn it around so that it kind of lays over itself so that it gets out of the way. And you can see that the peg is shaped. It's flat on one end, just like the peg hole is kind of flat on one end. But once again, with the belt being real rubbery, it may take some breaking in. There we go. Before it wants to stay in on its own. And there he can just have it mounted on his belt. And then we can take the M60. We can put that in his hand. And we can put the ammo belt coming out the side. Because if I'm not mistaken, one thing that I think I do remember about the M60s is you can alternate the feed. That the belt can feed out of either end. You can set it up that way. I'm pretty sure. Now I'm not sure. It's either this one or Ma Deuce. I can't remember which one is like that. And then we can take this and we can wrap it around his arm. Come on, Craig. There we go. It's rubbery enough that we can do it, but it's a little too stiff that it won't stay wrapped around. We fold it in there? Nope, but we can drape it over his arm. We can do stuff with this. We'll figure it out. But of course it's going to be cool, because here he is. It's rock and roll, and he's awesome. And now for size comparisons, here he is beside Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Stalker and Hasbro G.I. Joe Classified Series Heavy Artillery Roadblock. I don't have much for Valaverse, but here he is beside the Valaverse Action Force Desert Rat and Infantry Commando. Here he is beside McFarlane Toys DC Multiverse Titans Wave Arsenal and Injustice Wave Deathstroke. Here he is beside Lanyard Toys City Hunter Predator and Xenomorph Drone. Here he is beside Jazzware's Spartan Collection Master Chief and Noble 6. And finally, because I love to remind everybody how big they are, here they are, NECA Toys, Dungeons & Dragons, Warduke, and Grimsword. Wow, Mac, I'm really surprised you love this figure so much, said no one. Of course I love this figure. You clicked on the video. If you've seen my stuff before, you knew I was going to love this figure. Not only is it G.I. Joe Classified, my favorite line, G.I. Joe in general, my favorite line, it's Roadblock. It's one of the originals. It's one of the first action figures I ever had. The 3 3/4 version, that is. It's one of the first action figures I ever had that I could call my own. And just the way that this figure was designed, I swear, like, it couldn't have been more designed for me than if the Foot Locker would have said, hey, Mac, this rock and roll is for you. I love the accessories. I love the hand options. I love the heavy metal horns that he can toss up there. And I really love the helmet. Just that Hang 10 written on the side, for some reason, that really does it for me. The face sculpt, the beard, the eyes, the look of him. Even though this is not an exact replica of the 3 3/4 figure, there are so many touch points that it takes me back to that. And I know that can be an issue for some people. Some people don't want exact copies of the figures that some of us had when we were children. And I have to agree with that. I really do. But with ones like Rock and Roll here and Stalker, I have to take an exception with those ones, because those were some of my favorite figures growing up, just like Snake Eyes was. And I get it if some people think this is too close to the original, but I just really appreciate it. All the G.I. Joe classified figures, I really dig that he can have all of his accessories on him. He can have like all those accessories just kitted out on the figure. I do wish the rubber was a little bit stiffer though, because like I said, I got this really bad feeling that over time the M60 is going to start to warp and bend out of shape. And I wish that the accessories that plug into the belt were a little bit stiffer too, like the ammo box and the field radio, because I just feel like they're going to pop out a little too easily. Like once I got the field radio in there, I really didn't take it out unless I had to for the photos, because I just feel like that's not going to stay in there very well for very long. The ammo box on his hip, because the hole isn't a perfect circle, the ammo box, once it's in there solid. So I dig that. I really like that. And that's really my biggest complaints, just like the rubberiness of some of the accessories and some of like the gear that he's wearing. Like the ammo belts I don't mind too much because I like that they bend around, but the belt, I think the belt and the M60 and the field radio could have been a little bit more solid. I like that the helmet isn't though, because like I said, there's really like very little chance of scraping paint. We got rock and roll, now we need clutch. And like I said at the beginning, hopefully he comes with a vamp, but if he doesn't, we still need clutch. It would be really cool if we got like the desert version of Clutch as a release figure, you know, the second version from the Vamp Mark II, get that out as a standard release figure, and then you can save the olive drab one for when you bring out the Vamp, Hasbro. Know what I mean? I am really excited to be back into the G.I. Joe Classified series. I am really excited at the figures we have to take a look at coming down the line. We got Rock and Roll here, we got Torpedo, we have Copperhead, and Scrap Iron is on the way, so we got a few to take a look at. So until then, my friends, play well, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, thank you for watching.